Hey, I hope you're doing, oh, I think it's live. It says 13 seconds, so I'm just going to start talking, but I just wanted to check to make sure that my sound is working. So that's actually the first thing that I'm going to do. And last time I tried to be all secretive about it, or not secretive, but just like I tried not to like check, but right now I'm going to check
Or not secret.
so I can hear myself.
Try not to like check.
Okay, so I just had to make sure that my sound was working because it was definitely, I mean, it was working last time and then I second guessed myself and then I changed it and then it wasn't working. So I was like very upset about that because then like the second half of my live stream, like there was just no sound in it, but it's fine. So today I'm going to be altering a dress that's what I'm going to be on today. So I have a dress that I bought. I actually bought it in South Korea and I got it a couple of years ago. And I pretty much just like pinned in the like underarm, like or side area because it was too wide. And I just kind of left it like that. But I decided now that it's just too long and I really don't like it that way. It's already like an oversized dress, which I like. But if you guys have watched my previous videos, I have said this before. I really dislike oversized clothes. Like it can be oversized, but it has to be oversized in one spot. So even though the dress itself is oversized, I think if I shorten it and make it like right above the knee, that will make it like perfect and look better. And then also I'm gonna take the pins out because the pins are awkward and I'm just gonna like stitch the little side area closed. So this is the dress that I'm talking about. So I had, oh, it's backwards. So I got it, yeah, like I said, a couple of years ago. And this was pinned and now I'm going to sew it and then see how it keeps going. And it's just too long and I want it above the knee. Also, there's a really like small hem anyway. So I don't mind going ahead and like shortening that. So yes, that is what I'm going to be doing. I hope you guys are doing well. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section or like on the side or whatever. So yes, I'm going to be moving. Okay, so this is I have a sewing machine and I vaguely know how to use it. I mean, I've had it for a long time. That's why it's yellow instead of white because it's old. So I do know how to use it and it's just a little faster than trying to hand stitch, especially because there's so much fabric in this dress. My thing is just because this sewing machine is so old, it really doesn't like thick fabrics. It doesn't like just heaviness in general. So we'll see how it does. And I hope I don't break a needle. Okay, so I've got the dress here and it is unbuttoned. So I do wear another shirt under it. Like, yeah, it's too hot for summer anyway. So yes, it's too big and I really don't like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and alter it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, oh, maybe I should have put it on like inside out. I probably should have put it inside out, but that's fine. So what I'm going to do is just like mark where I want this to come together and I will pin it with my little safety pins. And then I can also mark on the other side where I want it to come together. So, oh, 1 second, I have to plug in my computer and sewing machine. Haha. Okay, so I'm just going to pin these two sides together. I think it'll be easier if I take this side off. And I thought about doing this in a, like just recording it, but I wanted to go through all of the steps. I don't really have like a very specific or professional way. I just bring it together and then pin it. And then this is a safety pin, but I'm also going to go back through with straight pins and I'm going to pin it like in a line so that I can follow that line on the sewing machine, if that makes sense. So I took sewing classes since middle school. So yeah, I don't know. Most people, I don't think, you know, it wasn't like home ec. We didn't have home ec, but I just took sewing because I liked sewing. And then I took it again. And so, yeah, I've had a couple of sewing classes, and then, yeah, I sew from time to time. It just depends. When this is going to sound weird, but when I find that I don't like what's in stores, then I start sewing again. So, yeah. Or for right now, actually, it's not because I don't like what's in stores, but it's because I'm not going into stores because of the lovely Corona thing we have going. So, yes, so I pin these up, and I'll probably go in. They can actually stand to be, well, maybe actually not. I think this is actually perfect. I was going to say they could stand to be a little tighter, but I'm going to be wearing a shirt under it just like this, and it will probably be thicker than this, so I'm not actually going to, I'm not going to make it tighter, or else I won't be able to breathe. So now I'm just going to tilt you guys down. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do, I have my little push pin thing. So I made, this is actually one of the first things, well, it's not one of the first things I made, but it's one of the first things I made in my class in like middle school. So it's Halloween themed. If you can see, they were like, isn't that perfect? Yeah, okay, yeah, I like Halloween. So yeah, it's got cats and like little skeletons on it. So I'm just gonna take some of these pins and I'm going to like pin in the middle of my dress. So right now, I don't know if you guys can tell, but right now I'm going to stand up and you'll see that it goes below my knees. So yeah, and I would really like for this dress to be like right, probably where actually this dress that I'm wearing under it stops. So I have to pin it so the seam is like under it. So that's a lot actually. So let me see how I like that. Do I like that? Is that too? I mean, I'm not gonna cut, that's something else. I'm not actually gonna cut the hem off. I want the ability, if I want to undo it later, you know? Not that, I'm probably not gonna get taller, but I would like the ability to change it if I so choose. And I can always cut it off later. So probably like here is good. Yeah. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pin it. I'm gonna pin it vertically. I could pin it either way, but I'm gonna pin it vertically. And I'm just gonna do a couple. Luckily, this is plaid, so it has its own lines on it, and the lines are indeed straight, which is great. If this dress had been cut in a crooked manner, that would be problematic, obviously. So, yeah. Very, very careful. My sewing machine really hates thick fabric. This fabric isn't super thick, but it's not thin either. And I kind of want a wider hem, actually. Like they have like a narrow hem in it, like just like a little, I don't know, with like a centimeter. And I would like it to be like an inch because why not? So now I have to do the rest of the pinning, not on myself. Oh, I just popped that one out. So let me just redo it really quickly. If you have stronger safety pins, it's better to use stronger safety pins than weaker safety pins. Okay, so let me try and carefully get out of this. So yeah, it's like pretty simple, but I would say that the dress needed to be shortened by probably like 3 inches, and then the sides needed to come in by about an inch at least, or 2. And it's just funny because I got it in Korea, and it is like I think it was a large, because things are usually too small for me if they're not larges, but I just found it funny because it's so huge. Like, yeah, it would probably be too long for, it would like reach it would be a long dress, a very long dress on anyone, because I'm pretty tall. So yeah, it would be like almost to the floor on people who are short. So I'm just going to move my sewing machine over. And lay my dress out. It's very, 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 very exciting. Actually, I'm just going to move you guys at will, pretty much. So sorry. So I'm going to start with the arms because they're easier. If you're sewing, that was sewing 101 for me. I had a skirt that got a hole in it, and sewing 101 for me was when I was like 7. And I realized that you needed to turn like the dress or skirt, because mine was a skirt, inside out and then stitch it on the inside. I stitched it on the outside, and it didn't occur to me that it would be stitched on the outside. And then my mom redid it for me, which was very nice. But so if you've never sewn before, turn it inside out. That is what happens when a 7-year-old is like, I'm going to sew this. Okay. So I'm sure you guys have heard that TikTok is going away. Many of you probably don't know, but I am on TikTok, or at least I was. I am, but yeah, if it goes away, then obviously not. So very upsetting. But I don't know, I really don't like Instagram Reels. My phone is like way too slow to use it. So, I can delete stuff off my phone, don't get me wrong, but it's just not as well built. And also, I feel like TikTok had better filters on it, if that makes sense. Just a better, when you reported someone, they would go away and disappear. And on Instagram, they just keep showing back up in your face, even when you really want them to go away. So yeah, it's kind of frustrating, but I really liked TikTok. It was a whole lot of fun. And then also, not only that, but they're also supposed to be getting rid of WeChat. And I have a lot of friends who live in China. So now I'm like, I need your email. I need your phone number, which I probably won't be able to call. Maybe Skype. I don't know. I'm just trying to get all their information before, I can't contact them. And it is kind of annoying because it's for people who live in China, being blocked is totally a normal thing. But for being not in China, it's kind of annoying. And it's well, why not move China? And then you wouldn't have to, you just live under the blocks anyway. If we're going to be blocked, then it just doesn't make sense. But anyway, so that's a problem in terms of talking to people who live over there. But yeah, I don't know, Instagram Reels, it just doesn't work on my phone that well. I can post regular stuff and stories, but it's very clunky in terms of the actual Reels app. I don't know why, it just is. So yeah, but I'm still going to be on TikTok for as long as it's there, and until it stops updating. Okay, so I'm going to narrow this. For the underarm, I have to sew in a triangle, really, because if I don't, then the corner of the dress where it meets the hip will just be a square and sort of stick out awkwardly. So if I can sew down into the corner, then that will prevent any trouble at a later date. And also because I have this gigantic piece of string running through the middle of my dress, like, yeah. So, okay, one of them is not straight. You can do this with a ruler. Yeah, probably makes more sense to do this with a ruler. So the middles are about even. Ow. I don't use thimbles, but maybe I should. So yeah, I don't know if you can see the colorful ones, but basically I'm just going to run from like the outer edge, which is like about an inch in, sort of like, actually it's probably an inch and a half. And this is the seam right here because I wanted it obviously right on the seam. And then I'm just going to stitch right from the pin all the way out, and then I'll end the seam somewhere in here before it hits the string. Otherwise I won't be able to tighten my dress anymore. Now I just have to do the other side. So in my last video, I mentioned the fact that I'm working on a script. I mean, I'm usually working on a script, but this one I really like set a tight deadline for myself. So I have a writer's meeting, and we meet and we like discuss each other's scripts and give feedback on like what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, or like questions, general concepts, and I gave myself a like 1 month deadline. So I had to write, well, not 1 month, a little shorter than 1 month, like a few weeks. And I had to write the whole script within like the time between one meeting and another meeting. So yeah, that was probably a little ambitious, but I got it done and I submitted it. So we're actually going to have our little meeting tomorrow, and we're going to go ahead and talk about our scripts, which is exciting. But yeah, it was more than I usually write in like a short period of time. Okay. This fabric is so bulky, it's a little finicky to try and stitch. Okay. If you guys have any like, I said questions before, but if there are like types of things you want to see, or if you happen to have found me via TikTok, I guess I am going to start posting more like TikTok type videos, or videos literally from TikTok on Instagram. I'm just so bad at keeping up with Instagram, but now if there's no TikTok, then I will definitely put more work into making videos over there. I really do like a lot of clothing transitions and things like that, unless I'm talking about my cats, that's just different. But that's usually what I do, is like clothing transition videos, because I really like them. Ow. I really don't use thimbles. I don't use thimbles at all, but I should. For those of you who don't know, California has been under a lot of fires, although you probably do, because even if you're in New York, you might have seen our lovely smoke that has crossed the entire country. So yeah, our smoke has cleared out because the wind direction changed, but unfortunately that doesn't mean that the fires are still, like, the smoke can go this way and the fire can be burning that way, and like, yeah, so it's not great, but hopefully fire season will end kind of soon. So this is my second side. It's definitely improved from my first side. And like I said, I'm going to just sew in a triangle and then stop here, because I can feel a lump of the rope like kind of up here. And when I did it with just safety pins, honestly, I didn't even notice like there being a large stitch or anything. So because of how this dress is made, like I can easily stitch the sides in and it won't like change anything. Okay, so now we're going to work on the bottom. Oh, I got this in Korea, but it says made in China. So that's also where this came from, apparently. I just got it at a random shop because it was cold and I wanted something warmer. So yeah, we were actually there in October a couple years ago, and it was really like, that's really like good Korea weather, because it can be really hot and it can be really cold, but actually being there in October was not bad. And it's also their like national week or something, like their, I don't want, it's not Independence Week, but you know, just like a patriotic thing. So they have a lot of like little events going on, and I don't know. It was just nice to be there at a point in time when like people were out and like ready to celebrate stuff. So yeah. Okay, so I've already stitched this. This is obviously, or not stitched, but I've already what is the word? Pinned it. And now the pins are on the inside. So that's actually a lot. That's like 5 inches that I'm taking in. So I'm probably going to go ahead and leave an inch on the end, just because I would like to have an inch. I don't know. I like on a thicker dress like this, I would like a bigger hem. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to pin from the outside this time. Wahahaha. Now, obviously, if you have like a big table or the floor, that's the better place to do this. So, yeah. But it's not too hard to stitch like on a flat surface, because this thick seam just runs all the way around, so it's not that hard. Okay. I'm honestly just using the plaid as a guideline because it's even, and yeah. Okay, so I've got half of the back half done. I've honestly just been looking for like different things to do. Like the film industry is actually starting to reopen, but almost as quickly as they open, they have to shut down again. And I'm okay with like, you know, I might would do like a very small crew like type of job, but I'm not really interested in doing anything that is big or going to have a lot of people, because that is just not safe right now. So yeah, but I did do, so you can see the shiny, you see the shiny, so it's all even on one side, and now I have to do the other side. I keep hitting the table, that's just gonna happen. I'm very clumsy, I'm sorry. So okay, let me make sure. What is this? Oh, is that the blue? Yes, okay. So if you have like a chalk pen or something, you could actually like draw along the dress just to see like, you know, the line, and then follow the line with pens. That's easy. If you can't freehand this, but yeah, I'm okay with freehanding it because I don't know, like I said, the way the dress is made, it's just like really not that complicated. And it hides a lot of errors, I've noticed, because if it hid my safety pin errors, I'm pretty sure it will hide my stitching errors. So yeah, in terms of like film stuff, I did do like a little acting expo that was online. That was cool. Like there are a lot of online resources. Early in this, there were a lot of like open casting or like acting workshops on like Instagram and stuff. Those were out for a while, but yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of about keeping busy and like still trying to stay active with the learning. So yeah. Okay. Oh, no, that's not what that's what. So my sewing machine is probably like 10 years old, and it's basically just about like running fabric through it, and then, you know, like, or not running fabric through it, but like running the thread through it. I have green thread in right now. I'm gonna put black thread in just because that's what they used on this dress, and it is like mostly black and dark blue. The green is not really, it's really gray actually, so it's not even like green. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to thread the machine. But yeah, I was like, oh, I could just film this and like do a bunch of angles, and then I was like, I think that, I don't know, I like the live streams. I like being and talking live and stuff instead of having to like, you know, make like a whole bunch of different angles. I think it's easier because I skip a lot of steps when I'm pre-recording. So yeah. Uh, okay. So I had to meet in the middle, but now I have the back. It's really just pinned all the way along, and it should be like about an inch of seam, an inch of hem. That's what it's called, an inch of hem all the way around, and then the other side has the pins. So this is just a Singer machine. Ugh. So I'm gonna move you guys forward a little bit. It's very exciting. Okay. Is that good? Yeah. The on button is on the side, and then the yellow light comes on, and then you can tell that it's on. So yeah. So this is where you thread the bobbin. There are two different dotted lines that you can follow on the top of a machine. In case you guys don't know. Let me tilt it. So there are like instructions here, and you can follow the instructions that it gives you that are like dotted out. So if you follow the dotted line, that's how to thread a bobbin. And if you follow the like solid line, that's how to thread a, just like thread the machine itself and get through the needle. So yeah, you have to follow one or the other. And to do the bobbin, also to let it know that you are doing bobbin instead of just regular sewing, you just push this over, and that says, I'm doing the bobbin right now, and then you push it back when you want to go back to sewing. So I'm going to replace this thread, and then I'm going to open the machine up and replace the bobbin inside. Okay. So like I said, this is like green, emerald green or whatever, and not what I'm going for. This is my sewing box. You guys should have a sewing box if you can, just to keep all your crap in. It's a lot, and thread and bobbins and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to use this black thread here. And if I find that my bobbin thread is the wrong color and I can't, then I'll just probably use the dark green because I don't care that much. It's funny because people really don't look at stuff like that unless they know to look. So yeah, this bottom part comes off. You can see the color that this, you see, this used to be this color. Yeah, so let your machine age, it will change color. Oh, I have black, thank God. Oh. Okay, so this is a bobbin. It's just this little tiny thing here, and you put it inside the machine because the machine needs like 2 sides of thread to sandwich the fabric with, unlike when you're hand stitching. So yeah, this goes inside the machine. And then I'm going to open this little section, and this is where the bobbin goes, and you just pull, there's a little tab on this silver bit here, and you pull it to get it out. Also, if you have long fingernails, the longer your fingernails are, the harder this will be. So this is the tab, and then this is the guide so that you know which way is up. And like I said, I had green thread in it, so I'm just going to take it out. So now I'm going to put my black thread in here. I really hope that's enough. If not, then I'll have to redo it, but it's fine. And there's just a little guide, and you just put the thread in, and then you follow this little silver guideline, and then the thread comes out this little opening. Yeah. Then you pull the tab again, insert it, and it's back in. So that's kind of why I wanted to do this live, because I was like, I can make a little sewing lesson thing for people who don't know how to use machines. Then I put this back on because this is where the fabric is going to sit, and it needs some surface area before it goes into the foot. So now I'm just going to put my black thread. I'm actually going to cut it. There's a little, that's not better. Okay, I'm going to use scissors. So there is a little, like, see this little nub? There's a razor in it, and it can cut your thread. So when you have this extra thread here, you can go ahead and cut it with that, or you can use scissors. These are the crappiest scissors on the planet, but I need to have like a clean edge on my thread, otherwise I won't be able to get it through the needle. Yeah, so that's a lot better, even though they are really bad scissors. So there's a little thing, you see it, you know what it is. And I just put the middle of the thread, see how there's a center hole? I just put that in, and then there's a little stopper. The stopper goes against the thread. And now I'm going to follow the solid line so I can thread my machine. So there's one catch that I have to go through. There is a second catch. This is a wheel just that controls the little needle. So I have to turn it in order to get this little piece. This is another catch I have to use. So in order to get this to come up, because it goes up and down, in order to get this to come up, I have to be able to turn this knob, the top knob. The bottom knob controls something else, and I'll explain it in a minute. So I just follow the solid line. There's another catch back here. And then, like I said, I go through this little up and down one that is, I have to go, between these pieces and then up and then around this little guy here that connects to the needle. And then under here, there's another catch. They're all just thread guides so that you can see, like, not so that your thread is like tight and being fed properly. Otherwise, it'll get all tangled. And there is another thing here, at least on my machine. I don't know about other people's. There's another thing here that looks like a catch that is not. So, okay. So now I put the foot down a little bit. Oops. Or not the foot, but I can put the foot down, which there's a little lever somewhere. Oh, it's back here. Just kidding. In the middle, I can put the foot down with this lever here, and it makes this foot go down. That way I have space to thread the needle. Otherwise, it's in the way. Okay, needle threaded. It may be an old wives' tale, but spit helps connect the thread. So I usually like lick the end of the thread. And I can pull the needle back through, and then it is released out the back. So you just pull both pieces of thread out this way, and then they're just loose and sitting there. So this is like thread tension. There's one for like thread distance and thread tension. This one stays set at 4. It's like the middle, so that's where it stays set. This one, in order to have like wider stitches, which is what I want, because if you have tight stitches, they're way harder to take out if you make a mistake. If you make big stitches, then you can always like go back over and sew it with a tighter stitch if you want, depending on the type of like garment. If you are sewing with an extremely finicky fabric, there's nothing like have extra fabric. Just buy extra fabric, because there are some fabrics where if you puncture a hole in it, the hole just stays there and you can't get rid of it. So I tend not to sew with those for obvious reason, but that's like they're just that way, and there's nothing to do about them. So yeah. So I'm just going to set this to the type of stitch I want. And I'm going to use this M stitch down here. There are a bunch of different types. If you look at the M stitch, I think that's pretty much how most garments are sewn, using this like, or L. M or L are usually pretty much okay. And I'm gonna use M. This is kind of heavy, but whatever. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to do the bottom first, because the bottom is easier. And I just have to rotate this. Otherwise, you won't be able to put it on ever again. So I'm just going to put the bottom under the sewing machine and guide the top along it. And I'm going to start at a seam and go all the way around. That way, yeah, that way all my seams are together. I just don't want them like, I want the seams all in the same place, if that makes sense. So this is a foot of a, this is the foot, and this is what holds the fabric down as it stitches. Okay, and there's a foot release also, but if you just poke around with the things, like it will release and do, and you can see what your machine specifically does. So I'm just going to start in the middle here and okay. Just wanted you guys to be a little closer so you can see better. So I'm putting this in, and then I'm going to start guiding it. And my machine makes the most horrendous noises, so just be aware. And I also have a foot. So this foot is a pedal, and it runs the machine and makes it go. That way we don't have to like crank it like one of the old machines. The bottom wheel goes to M. And yes. So let's just see. I like to start with the needle inside the fabric, so I'm just going to turn this slowly until it goes down into the fabric. I like to start it off like where it knows what it's supposed to be doing. That way it's not like, sometimes when you go to press start on the pedal, which is under my foot, it will, like the thread will fly out of it and then you have to rethread it. So if I put the needle down inside the fabric, that prevents that from happening most of the time. Please ignore the sound. Actually, no, I'll do that. So I'm trying to keep tension on the dress as I'm sewing. That way it's like not getting tangled under itself. So I have to just guide it as it goes back. So now it's gone as far as it can, and I'm going to have to release some of the fabric that it was sitting on. So in case you couldn't tell, my machine is old, very old. So, I mean, it needs to be oiled again, and we oil it, but we probably should buy a new one at some point. That's why it makes that horrendous noise. But it works, so I'm like, you know, whatever for right now. And yeah, I'll buy a new one at some point. So obviously going slowly and more steadily is better than trying to like rush it. Machines can overheat just like everything else because it's an electronic. So yeah. Yes, that is what happens. like a door opening, like a rusty door. Okay, shifting yet again. Where's the other stitch? Or not stitch, where's the other seam? Somewhere in the middle. Okay. So I don't know if you noticed, but I did change this back to 1. I'm just gonna make sure that it is what I want it to be, if you know what I mean. I just want to make sure that like what I've stitched is what I want, and then I can go back and put an M over it, or like whatever that type of stitch is called. I don't know. It just like does like an X thing. Sometimes it tries to go way faster than it should, and I'm like moderating it, but sometimes it just like speeds. Yeah. But obviously slower is better. Also, if a needle hits metal, so if you have like a button, a clasp, a pin, like I'm sewing over the pins. Most people probably don't. They probably pull them out as they go. I know I can skip them because like I'm paying attention enough to be able to like make the needle skip them, but if a needle hits metal, it will snap, and then you'll have to put another needle on. Most machines come with more needles than you'll probably need in a short amount of then you'll probably need, especially if you know how to sew. I have broken a needle, I think once or twice, and we've had this probably for, I said 10, but we've had it a long time. So maybe like 12 or 13 years. And I've only broken a needle once or twice, and that is when I was sewing. I don't know if I was doing like a clasp or something, but I sewed over it. So yeah. Usually though, you shouldn't be breaking that many needles, and a machine will usually come with everything it needs. And if you think that your machine didn't come with anything, check this section, because this is where all of the stuff that came with the machine was. It was all in this little section here. So yeah. Something else I'm checking as I go is to make sure that there's still a back thread connected. That way I know that the bobbin hasn't run out of thread, because bobbins are like really weird, and they can look like, I don't know, I think they use more thread than they look like they should be using, if that makes sense. They're just very like weird, and you can put a lot of thread on it and it can run out pretty quickly if you're using one of these, and then it can not run out as quickly if you're using just like a straight stitch. So I don't know. Rotating again. Yay. It's kind of hot. It had gotten cooler, and like today is kind of hot. I mean, it's not 110 anymore, so that's nice, but it's kind of like warmer than I would like it to be, considering the fact that it's September. Okay. Okay. So I have crossed the intersection. Yeah. So I went all the way around in a circle, and now they've crossed again. So I'm just going to take this out, which means I have to turn it to get it to come back up again. And I also have to lift the foot to get the dress out from under it. And now if I pull it, and I can see now that my two threads are still here, which is great. Sometimes if you're not paying attention, you'll get to the end and then you'll be like, oh, where did the bobbin run out? So yeah. And like I said, I pull it up over this razor that's on the side, just this little thing, and I just pull and then it's released. Yeah. So that looks like a pretty even hem. I keep doing that. Looks like a pretty even hem, and I'll go back over it later with the M. I think I'll have to put in a new bobbin like thing anyway. So that's what and I'm just gonna put them back in my little push pin thing. I bought pumpkin cookies and I'm very excited for them. I have not gotten a pumpkin latte. I actually don't like just regular pumpkin lattes. I like the Thai. I get the chai tea latte at Starbucks, and then I mix it with pumpkin because then it's not like that very artificial pumpkin. It tastes just like a little hint of pumpkin and like chai spice, which is nice. So that's usually what I get, and I have not gotten one of those yet. But here's the deal, right? They started selling these pumpkin things in like August, and it was 110 degrees here, and I was not about to get hot coffee when it's 110 degrees. And yeah, I know they have frappuccinos, but like I don't really like frappuccinos. I don't know why. I'll drink one, but I'll drink like 3 sips and be like, this is amazing. And then I'll sit it down and walk away from it, and then I'll come back in 10 hours and be like, I had coffee. I don't know why. I'm not really like I'm not a frappuccino person. They don't hold my attention. They literally do not hold my attention, which makes no sense. But yeah. So the next thing on my agenda, other than sewing with you guys, is I also have to read. The thing about a writer, like the way a writer's meeting works, is that you write and hopefully you finish by the deadline. Otherwise, you won't have anything to submit. And then we have like a few days. So we submit on a Wednesday or Thursday morning if we're bad. And then we have a few days to read our other friends' stuff and give like notes. And it's kind of hard. Like you have to get like kind of a hang of it, because you can't be like, oh, don't write this, or this is bad. Like you try and give constructive criticism so that they can alter it depending on any number of things. Like sometimes we're like, this maybe won't sell, so maybe try this, or this character, I don't really understand what this character is about or what they want. So we do stuff like that. That way it's not like, I don't like what you wrote, because that's not really what it's meant for. And we just like trade notes and stuff. And it can be anything. Like sometimes it's a script. Sometimes it can be like feature, short, play. Sometimes we even like write like proposals or like an email that we're going to send to someone, and it's like, can you just look over this email and tell me if you would reply to it? So yeah, it can be pretty much any of those types of things. So I think I got all the pins out. I just can't believe, look between the hem that I have and like, just look at that. This is where the hem is, and this is the amount of fabric that like was too much. It was just too much. And I'm not going to cut it, most likely, or at least I'll wait before I cut it to see if I am okay with that length, because I can always go back slowly. It will take forever. Dig out the stitch that I just put in and like change it if I want to, but I don't have to. And that's the key. So now I'm going to go over the little side area. This area is a little bit more complicated because it's so like thick and tangled. So I'm just gonna, I have to pull my threads back out fresh so they have space again. And why do you hate me? This section of the dress is so annoying, and it's like sewn so oddly, but I think I can do, I think I'll start at the top. I'll start at the top. Otherwise, I'll just run into like 20 miles of headaches. So I'm going to start at the top and then work my way down into the triangle. So I'm just going to put my foot down. Yeah, put foot down. Don't forget. Otherwise, there's nothing to guide the fabric. And then I'm going to put the needle down, hold my hand kind of where I'm going to stop. That way I don't go too far. Yeah. This is a lot of fabric to be working with. So if you hold this, it will go, the sewing pattern is going that way right now. It's going like do, 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 that way. And in order to like go over a stitch so that it doesn't like come out or unravel, I want to back it up and like sew over the same place twice. So to do that, I hold this down and it goes in reverse. You don't want to do this to like sew an entire outfit. That would suck. So yeah. I just have to feel like where the rope is. That way I don't sew over the rope. So I kind of pump my foot so that it doesn't go too fast and like speed past me. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm going to go backwards just to to seal the stitch. Okay. My sewing machine hates thick fabric. So now I'm just going to do the razor again on the side. I'm released. If you forget, then you'll just like pull all your thread. If I went like this, the thread would follow and then there would be like a foot of thread. So that would not be fun. So this is straight. I'm surprised. Yeah, it happens. Oh, I don't want to go too much longer than an hour because YouTube will hate me. So I'm going to do the other arm section and then I'll be done. But also something that I'm going to be working on, I'm going to I don't want to say design because that sounds so fancy, but I'm going to make an outfit So I'm just kind of come up with a design. It's the only word for it, and then I will get some I'm gonna go buy fabric or order fabric. I have fabric actually that I really like, but I don't want to use it. And then also, like, this fabric is very thick, and you can't really combine, like, combining this cotton fabric with this type of like thick fabric would be problematic. So yeah, I don't want to do that. But I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, it has dragons on it and like phoenixes. I got it in China. I really love it, but I'm probably not going to use it for this next thing that I'm going to make, because I really want it to just be like comfortable cotton something, and this would need something fancier. So yeah, I have some other fabrics like this, but I think I'm going to search online for like cotton-based fabrics that I can use. So yes, that is the goal. So I'm going to take the safety pin out. It's just in the way, and the pins are good enough. And like I said, I'm going to start at the top, just so, I don't know, I feel like if I try and start the other way, my line will be really crooked. So I'm going to start at the thinner piece of fabric and work my way down to the thicker piece of fabric, if that makes sense. Needle down. I almost forgot myself. Needle down. And then go. Okay. So needle up. And if you forget, like I just did, to do your, like, to seal the stitch at the beginning, what you can do is just take your garment off, just pull the thread, and then go back to the beginning and do just like a little stitch over it. And that will also seal the stitch. Like, it doesn't care really where it comes from. It just needs to happen, you know? I have to pull more thread out because it's just like not enough, you know? Sometimes sewing takes muscle. Obviously, the more times I go over it, the more difficult it will be to undo it if I have to fix it. But like I said, lots of fabric hides a multitude of sins. So that is nice. So I have to take the pins out so I don't stab myself. I have forgotten pins before, or like if you forget like one pin, and that pin will inevitably find its way to stabbing you to death. So it's not very fun. But that's just the nature of sewing. So what I might also do, not today, but at some point, is because I have this like extra fabric now, if I want to cut it, I could cut it. Or if I want to save the fabric for like a riskier, like a wanting to change, yes, to prevent any risk and wanting to change like what happened, I can fold it over. I don't know if you guys can tell. This fabric is so dark, it's like a pain, but I can just fold this bit over, this loose bit, and I can just do like a little tack stitch here, or safety pin it. Or, well, I wouldn't want to actually like do a whole stitch up, or else you would see that when I'm wearing it, and that would be weird. But I could just do like a little tack stitch right here to hold this to the back, because this is the back of the dress. I wouldn't want to do it in the front of the dress, but in the back is fine. And iron it down so that the stitch is like hidden, and yeah, if it gets on my nerves. But it's not like right under my arm, it's like further down here, so I usually don't care about the extra fabric. So this is the dress. I'm going to turn it right side out. This is out. This is inside out right now, so the extra fabric is hanging, and you can see the tag. And then let me just turn it inside out. It's very exciting. Wahaha. Let me rotate you guys again. Makes life easier. Okay. So this has buttons up the front and a tie in the middle. I almost was like, ugh. I thought that I had stitched it too tightly, because there used to be no resistance when I buttoned it, none at all. And now there's like resistance because I tightened it. So actually right here, it might be a little too tight because, oh, it's just that the fabric's in the way. Because this, see how it's like pulling out a little bit, but whatever, it's fine. So I'm going to tie it. I could put a belt on this instead of the tie, but I think that would be more complicated than it would be worth. Is there another button? No, okay. So let me just move the, actually I'm going to go ahead and pin this so that you guys can look at it without the excess fabric. I think I am going to have to cut the excess fabric. It's so floppy, and like, yeah, it's just like an unnecessary amount of fabric, you know what I mean? So what I can do at some point is just run along the scissors, even if I don't cut off like all of it, because this is where the seam is. Even if I don't cut all of it off, I might cut it to just like here, because it's just too much. Something I do, if you ever want to lengthen a dress, something that I've done is to add lace to the bottom. It adds weight for one, which is great because it keeps your dress down. And then it also can add a little bit of length if it's just like a little too short. So that's something that I like to do. If you don't like lace, you could add another piece of fabric that you feel like matches. There are a couple of options if you want to make a dress longer. This is a little wintry to have lace on it, but there are winter type laces, you know, to go along with the summer type laces. Let me just go ahead and do this back part. This is not going to stay. This is just until I cut it, and I don't want to cut it quite yet because I still want to go over it again with the M stitch. Okay. Wow. I like it so much better short. It was like wearing some sort of balloon. So let me just tilt you guys down a smidge. So like I said, this is a little bit, I don't know. These buttons are actually too far apart. If I were to do it, these buttons would be a little closer together. I could move this button down like just a smidge so it's like right here, and then this part is just like open because I don't care, but either way, it doesn't matter. So yes, this is the finished look. Right above the knees. It's still long and like perfectly fine for winter, but I don't have to deal with like looking like I'm in a potato sack. And you guys can see the back because of my mirror, which is great. So yeah, this is just what it looks like. It's so much cuter. I literally can't, I didn't expect it to like be that much better, but yes, it was way too long. So this is what it looks like. And then as you can see the sides, so I would push the seam, the excess fabric to the back on both sides. Right now it's kind of pushed to the front. I don't know why. Probably because of the direction that I sewed it, but either way, it's fine. And then I just have this, and you guys can see it doesn't really look any different than how the original, this actually seam is better. But you know, this is how they sewed it, and it's not quite even. So obviously, like, it doesn't matter if mine's not even because it wasn't even to begin with, but that's the side. And then on the bottom, there's just this little stitch right here, and this is how far it is. So it's just an inch. And yes, this is the finished dress, and I like it so much better. I'm not even kidding. It's crazy, but yeah, it's just way better. So like I said, the next thing that I'm going to work on, and it will take me multiple days, so I won't live stream it, but is to just go ahead and do like design something for myself to wear for this like summer, or not summer because it's winter, but probably something for fall. And I think I'm going to make a dress because dresses tend to be a little bit easier to make, or like a skirt. I've made from like scratch a skirt, but it just didn't work out for me because I don't know how to put it, but like the fabrics, like I was talking about earlier, the fabrics that I used did not match at all. They totally clashed. So like the top was like thinner than the bottom, so the bottom was like hanging oddly and like pulling on the fabric that was above it. So I'm not gonna do that again, obviously. And yeah, like that just didn't work out. You know what I could do is I could go back and just trim the bottom off because it was a really long skirt, and just trim it off, and then that would probably look okay. It's a little shiny, like I didn't like that shiny fabric, so I'm gonna look for cottons this time. And I kind of uploaded these or downloaded these offline. So they're just little fashion templates. And a template is like, apparently it's like 7 heads into like a body. At least that's how they draw them. Obviously, like everyone's different. But for me, like pretty much I think like this is pretty much like how my form is. So since I'm drawing it, I'm not good at drawing, by the way. I'm terrible at drawing. So I got the figures. And I think also what I'm going to do, if I need to like make more of these, instead of like copying like 800 of them, what I'm going to do is lay the like a blank piece of paper over this regular piece of paper, and then I can see through. See, there's like a faintness, and I'll be able to see through it, and I can just go along and trace out the figure each time I want to draw another one. So that is pretty much how I'm going to go about doing that. And it's going to be a really loose type of design. I'll show you like the whole process and how I draw it, because I'm not good at drawing, but I want to make something new this year without like going into the store. And since I can sew, I think I'm going to try and do that. So probably some sort of dress. And I like flowy things, and you've seen the bow on the back of this. So I like having like, I don't know, like fabrics hanging on the back, and I don't know. I like bows and stuff like that. So I might try and do something, or lace. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to come up with some sort of design and work on it over the next few weeks, depending on how long it takes me to select and get fabric, because that could take a while. But if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you found this video helpful or other types of videos like these, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I wanted to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm going to end the live stream now, and I'll see you next time, okay? If you have any questions for me, just one side note, if you guys have any questions for me, please do make sure to go ahead and leave them in the comment section, and I will see if I can answer them. Hopefully I'll be able to answer them. So thank you guys so much for watching.